Hey there, I'm Shri and welcome to the Educator resource series for Piper Make. Today I'll be guiding you through this tutorial. Let's get started.
All right, so the first thing we're going to do is open Piper Make at make.playpiper.com and scroll down to Thermoodstat. We're going to use a temperature sensor for this tutorial, so go ahead and grab that from your Sensor Explorer kit or the first month of your monthly Makers Club or from your extended starter kit. It looks a little bit like this. Now go ahead and wire up the temperature sensor the same way you see on your screen. Make sure the red wire goes to power and the black wire goes to ground. After you've gotten everything hooked up, we're going to start coding. So go ahead and drag out a function. We're going to rename this function emoji. Now, what we want this function to do is basically take a range of temperatures and actually return an emoji that tells us how we feel about that temperature. Now, these ranges are completely up to you. Now you're going to go ahead and define a variable, which is basically the temperature. The temperature is a variable because it actually stores a value of something that is being read. In this case, the data from the temperature sensor you're using. Now drag out your variable, the temp, and then write some inequalities that tell you which ranges you would like to define your emojis for. So in this case, we're basically defining the inequalities of greater than 70 degrees or less than 73 degrees. Feel free to change the ors to ands, since those will actually make for more consolidated ranges. Now you're going to return an emoji, and you can actually define that emoji based on whatever you would like. So if that temperature range makes you feel happy, go ahead and put that love face on there. If there's a different range that makes you feel a little bit better, feel free to change it. Now we're going to want to call our function. And to do that, we basically want this to loop. What we want to do is run the function repeatedly and then shout the result. What is shouting, you ask? No, it's not your computer shouting at you. Instead, it's just going to show the emoji on top of your workspace. You'll see what we mean in just a bit. Remember that if you can't see some of the pictures, you can always hit that little expand icon in the upper right of the pictures on the side, and it'll zoom in for you so you can see what you're doing on code blocks or wiring diagrams better. Now, I also kind of want to see what temperature the temperature sensor is reading. So let's go ahead and add a print statement that actually just prints that temperature sensor reading for us. Yeah, but one range really isn't enough for me. So let's go ahead and duplicate it a few times and change up our ranges. Now remember, these ranges are completely up to you. So set them to whatever you would like. If that's greater than 80 degrees and less than 100, then go ahead and do that here. And have some fun with changing the pictures of the emotions that you're feeling with each of these temperature ranges. And once you're ready to go ahead and hit connect and connect your Pico and then hit start. You can also mess with the temperature reading that you get from the temperature sensor by maybe holding it in your hand to warm it up using your body heat. Remember that you can open up the console to actually see the different temperature readings as well. What other things could you do to change the temperature reading? A cautionary note here though. Make sure that you don't put your temperature sensor in anything too hot, too cold, or in any liquids. But you can always do the simple things, like just picking up your temperature sensor and holding it tightly in your hand to raise the temperature. Then, as it's cooling down, you can maybe see that on the screen. It's warm, and then it starts cooling off. Again, feel free to mess with these inequalities and these different ranges to make them whatever you would like. In fact, this is probably a good point to sort of sit back and reflect on other places where temperature sensors are used to keep machines or different things that we use in our daily life at constant temperatures. And maybe to set off some alarms when the temperature goes outside the range that's acceptable. Cool. Thanks so much for joining.